by Cheryl Suydam. And she is our Tempus with John Cole interview for this week. Cheryl comes with her own pedigree of sorts. She's been training dogs since 2000 and is a certified professional dog trainer. She's a member of the Association of Pet Dog Trainers and a titled Rally Obedience competitor. Cheryl began her dog training career as an instructor at the Seeing Eye, but transitioned to pet dog training in 2003. In 2005, she graduated salutatorian actually, with honors from the San Francisco SPCA's Academy for Dog Trainers. Cheryl currently teaches both group and private lessons at St. Hubert's Dog Training School in Madison, New Jersey, and offers private training and group classes through her company, Positively Trainable, based in Califon, New Jersey. Her classes range from puppy kindergarten through advanced outdoor training using dog and family-friendly methods. Welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you, John. Hi.
I told you she was lively, folks, and and she is, and she certainly loves dogs. Thank you for bringing that dog song by Nellie McKay.
Oh, it's terrific.
Yeah,
it always gets me smiling.
I can understand, and it certainly is a good way to introduce your interests and what you do, and frankly, what dogs can do for people as well.
Absolutely. They enrich so many people's lives on so many different levels.
I know there are people out there that really like dogs, and there are some people that are, they're kind of concerned about dogs that they see who aren't leashed, or even who are leashed that they walk by. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. What is all this about dogs with you? I mean, how did you get involved and interested in dogs?
Good question. After a short stint when I was in second grade of wanting to be an artist, I actually truly followed my passion for wanting to work with animals. And driving along 287 one day, I saw a sign for the Seeing Eye and thought, well, that's pretty cool. What exactly is that? And from there, I investigated. At the time, I was working with children with autism as a teacher. And while that was really fascinating and wonderful work, I decided I really did need to follow that passion that I had with animals. And so I started there. That's, of course, after, as a kid, doing all kinds of fun things, like visiting my father's best friend's farm. And at the time, he had 3 dogs amongst a menagerie of other animals. And I would steal little pieces of food from dinner and shove them in my pockets to lure the dogs into my room at night, just so I could sleep with the dogs.
That's pretty cool. Did you have a dog growing up?
I didn't, actually. Funny that you ask. My parents decided to get a dog the year I left for college. Up until that point, we had hamsters and rabbits and gerbils and fish and all that kind of good stuff.
Manageable four-legged, manageable quadrupeds, I guess you could say. Now, I know you're a busy person. You've got a lot of things going on, and you're here tonight, frankly, and able to do a lot of the work you are because of some important people in your life, and they are?
Yeah, I want to say hello to my husband, Taryn, of course, and my children, Livy and Mr. Mann, also known as Alex. But I do have to give a shout-out to the four-leggeds in our house as well. Our 2 rescue dogs, Annie and Roscoe, and, of course, our cat, Cletus.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that people understood how many dogs you have. People listen to people talking about their animals, and as time goes on, they start to conjure up images of a woman in a house with 42 dogs running around and that kind of thing.
I am not a hoarder.
Okay. Is that what they call them, a hoarder?
They do, the hoarders.
And it is an illness.
It actually is a legitimate problem. Yep.
It's not good for the animals nor the person.
Exactly.
Nor the neighbors, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine that. So, you then went into Seeing Eye. Now, Seeing Eye is known as a pretty tough place. It's a tough place to work. It's rigorous. There's high expectancies on the dogs there because those dogs, in many ways, save people's lives. Mm-hmm. So from there, I suspect you learned a lot.
Absolutely. I worked my way up right from the beginning. I was working in the kennel and learned a lot about dog body language, play behavior, just from watching. Learned a lot from the medical side of things as well, and gradually worked my way up through the ranks from an instructor assistant and then into being an instructor. So it is quite a demanding job, both for the instructors and the rest of the staff that are there, but certainly for the dogs. About 50%, I believe, of the dogs are cut from the program and become career changers, finding homes as family pets.
Okay, so you went from Seeing Eye, and then I think you went to St. Hubert's. Is that correct?
There was a short period of time in there. I tried my hand at the Central Park Zoo doing an internship there. I worked as
in New York?
Yep, at New York, yep.
Okay.
And also went on to do a little bit with a pet sitting business. I worked at a doggy daycare, just kind of getting my hands in wherever I could. A lot of volunteer work for St. Hubert's and other rescue groups as well before starting it in 2005.
Now, your own business, Positively Trainable, do you have a website yet?
I think I'm like you with your Facebook page. I keep being told that I need to get one.
Yeah.
It's actually been under construction for several years.
Okay.
I think there's a message on it that says I'm out working with the dogs. But when I have to pick between working on a website or actually working with a dog or their owner, option B usually ends up winning out.
So you've got a busy practice.
I do.
How do people get in touch with you?
Usually just through the telephone or email. They can call my business line, or my email is Cheryl at positivelytrainable.com.
Cheryl at positivelytrainable.com. And the number at which that people might be able to reach you? I realize we're not pushing your business per se, but since you're here and you're good enough to help people, because the second half of this interview is information to people on how they can relate with dogs.
Yeah, the number is 908-832-2294.
Okay. So why is it important to train a dog?
Oh, gosh. Why is it not? I mean, to begin with, I really think it builds upon a relationship between the people and that dog. Really, it creates a more equal playing ground for dogs to understand what's expected of them, how to live with humans. They don't come born knowing what a leash is, or that digging at the linoleum or chewing on your dining room table isn't appropriate.
The humans are kind of part of their pack. Is that a way to look at it?
I think in some ways. I think, we've been a little too liberal with explaining dog behavior using wolf behavior.
Okay.
They do share the same DNA, but in many ways they're very, very different. I mean, they are domesticated.
They split off, 10,000 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, they really talk about that split off occurring when people started, basically the dumps, when dumps were started.
Okay.
And from there they became a bigger and bigger part of our lives. So, I think you almost can't get away with not training your dogs. Yeah.
I know some people that don't.
Yeah, and generally speaking, those are the homes that you typically don't want to necessarily visit,
right,
or have their dogs come on a visit to your house as well.
You look down on the seat before you sit down, and that kind of thing. You just never know. So, when should you start training your dog?
Oh, well, the earlier the better. If you are getting a dog from a breeder, usually a really good breeder will start doing hands-on work with those puppies as early as 2 to 3 weeks of age, when those eyes and ears start opening. It's never too early.
Oh, it's like early intervention.
Absolutely, absolutely. So an 8-week-old puppy, that's when I start taking puppies in my puppy classes as early as 8 weeks and getting them in, because you really do want to lay the foundation of starting some good habits rather than having to troubleshoot and manage bad habits that have already started.
I have I'm thinking of this in this premise, that can you teach old dogs new tricks?
Absolutely.
Well, I'll give you an example. Now, I'm not asking you to go through the procedure and how we can work with this, but I have a wonderful sister, and she has a large standard poodle. Mm-hmm. And this poodle is spoiled to a certain extent. It jumps up on you. It's smart. It will listen to you if you're in its presence for a considerable period of time. But I've often wondered, gee, now the dog's about 3-4 years old. It's been jumping up on her and licking arms and all that business for a long time. How much work would it be? I know that you don't know the dog and all, but how can you turn around an animal like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question in the sense of, is it too late at 3 or 4? I mean, I've had dogs as old as 12, 13, 14 years of age in my dog training classes, and people have made significant progress. That being said, they're kind of like us in a way. As we get older, we get a little bit more set in our ways. And changing bad habits is a little bit more difficult, but it can be done. I think the biggest thing to remember is we as humans need to be consistent. So that's a very important thing in dealing with animals. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's almost worse when it's inconsistently rewarded. So, for example, with the jumping up, if 1 out of 5 people give attention for the jumping up, your dog is almost playing you like a slot machine. Well, maybe this time, and maybe this time. It really does actually tend to reinforce the behavior even more. So it really does take some consistency, some management, certainly, and remembering that dogs do what is safe and rewarding, and they avoid anything that's unpleasant or dangerous for them. So if it's rewarded, the behavior is going to increase, and if it's been punished, the behavior is going to decrease. It's really that simple.
So what's the first thing that you do when you're working with a new client, a new dog?
Well, it really depends on what their individual needs are. So, I have right now an older couple in their 80s who need help with their dog. I just worked yesterday with a woman who loves her dog, thinks the dog is absolutely perfect, but we have a little problem with barking and lunging at cars when she goes out on walks. Okay. So it really is tailored to their individual needs outside of the group classroom. That can take anywhere from 1 session to several sessions, depending, again, on what the issue is.